Hello, everyone. It's me, Andrew. I'm here in my home in lovely Ligonier, Pennsylvania. Hopefully, you all are doing well and that you're having a great Friday. I'm trying to push myself up so you can see this, my new shirt, but I also feel like it's like giving me bangs. Anyways, hopefully, you all are doing well. I know this was kind of an impromptu one. Normally, William is here and he puts up banners and lets people trickle in and all kinds of stuff like that. Um, but when you're flying solo like I am tonight, you kind of get what you get. We're here now, and hopefully you all are as well. If you're watching, say hello. Maybe tell us where you're tuning in from. It's always nice to hear where people are watching from. Um, yeah, so we've been super busy today. William is actually not here because he's working on the car. Um, and he's over at his mom's house because she has a garage with a lift in it. And he's working on it with his dad using his brother's tools. Um, Hi, Gertie. She wants to be on camera, I think. Maybe. Or actually, she's hearing me talk, and so she's getting concerned. That's probably more likely. Anyway, so he's over there. He started this last night, or they started this last night, and we're super thankful to have William's mom and dad around because they help us so much, and especially with stuff like with cars and stuff that we don't really know a lot about. So, in an effort to save money, he bought the parts online. And his dad used to be a mechanic and had his own shop. He knows how to do stuff. He's really handy. So they're working on that. And they started it last night. But I don't think William got home until after midnight. And then we had dinner and watched one episode of Queer Eye, and then promptly went to bed because we were both exhausted. Um, I see some folks are tuning in. Marianne's watching. Hi, Marianne. Facebook users watching. Hello, Facebook user. Norma's watching. Hey, Norma. Susan, our neighbor's watching. Hey, Susan. So yes, busy, busy, busy. Now, there's a reason why I wasn't on last night. I was going to go on last night, but I'm working on this very special project, which brings in my T-shirt. So if you didn't see Metal Museum, that is because I'm curating a show that is going to be at the Metal Museum this summer. The show is called No Place Like Home and is going to open on May 1st and run until June 2nd. And I'm actually going to go to Memphis and I'm going to be doing a curatorial talk on May 25th. I believe it's May 25th or May 26th. I have to double check because they are still organizing stuff on their own. But that show is going to be open for the month of May and a little bit of June. And I'm super excited. As some of you may know, this past summer, I was very fortunate to be in a show. My brooch, Many Faces, was featured in the show. And it's called We Are Here. And it was a kind of a survey of different LGBTQIA plus makers who work in metal. So there are people who were doing large scale sculpture, jewelry, all kinds of stuff. I was super excited to be a part of that. We went out to the opening reception for that. I think last June. And while I was there, we had a chance to talk with the exhibitions director, and both of us had had the same sentiment that we hoped that it wouldn't be the last time. You know, that show is such a groundbreaking show because there really wasn't that kind of show in a major museum up until that point, at least not in the craft world. Um, so it was a really special show, and it came at a time when there was legislation being passed that was very uh, anti anti LGBTQIA plus, and it was super important. I feel. And I was talking with Laura, and she also shared that it was really important, and that we hope that it wouldn't be like a one-off, and that the representation of marginalized voices would continue. And so we started chatting, and we, of course, in my way, I had that fun way of talking about stuff I probably shouldn't have, about finding finger bones and all kinds of stuff. And, anyways, we hit it off and started chatting this past year. And yeah, so there was a little tiny opening in the schedule, and she's like, do you want to do this? And I said, okay. So the show is called No Place Like Home. And if you are a fan of The Wizard of Oz, then you may be like, oh, that sounds familiar. But what it is that it's going to be a show about queer makers who work in metal. And sometimes when I use the word queer, people get a little bit funny. And I actually was like this too when people started using this term, because when I was growing up, it was kind of like a dirty word, kind of like a bad word. But now it's since been reclaimed and is kind of an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of different things. Because when you say things like LGBTQIA plus, you're missing some things, and some representation. And if the goal is to be more inclusive, you have to broaden that term, the terminology. So there's a lot of writing about how that came about. And if you're interested in that, I suggest you look into it, because it's actually really fascinating. Um, Looking at how much progress has been made within the past few decades. So it's very important to me, of course, because it's a group that I represent and I'm a part of. Um, Equal rights means I get to love who I love and be who I want to be without, penalty of going to jail or fines. And there's all these different things that we've overcome in the past couple decades. So, yeah. So anyway, it's a queer maker show. I was the concept of addressing the question of what is home to you, and the reason why I kind of am fascinated with this. I'm fascinated in this in general, what people consider home, but more specifically for queer makers, because um, we're so different. There's so many different life experiences, and people who are much younger um, have very different experiences of what it means to be a queer person as opposed to people who are older. And I would say I kind of fall in the middle. But so everybody has very different life. Kind of perspectives, and that goes for everybody. But I do believe that the things in our lives help shape who we are and how we see the world and the artwork that we make. So, with that being said, what is the idea of home and what it means to you? Um, and I think I'm going to do a prompt, that I'm going to try to like do a hashtag or whatever, and get other people to post things in response to the show, because the show is really a very short show, and it's a very small gallery. So we did have to limit how many people we could exhibit and the kinds of work we could exhibit, just for um, out of practical concerns. Um, but with that being said, I really am interested about this. And so I was very lucky to be able to talk to different makers. I've had a lot of really wonderful conversations with people about this topic and about their processes and how they think and how they want to move forward in their careers. And it's been really interesting, and I feel very, very fortunate to be a part of this because it is something that is important to me, and hopefully will be one of the many stepping stones to more representation, more normalization, and more access to these types of venues that were previously not open to these kinds of dialogues and conversations. And if you didn't know, the Metal Museum is in Memphis, Tennessee. If you didn't know from watching the news and things like that, Tennessee is definitely one of the states that has a lot of legislation and going on that is not very friendly. So it is a show that I feel like is kind of a mark in the sand that says we're moving forward. And I think that that is probably one of the best ways of saying it. And yeah, so I'm super excited about that. I hope that if you are in the area during that time period, that you'll come out and see the show. That's another important thing. If nobody comes to it and it's not a success, then they're never going to do it again. So I dearly, dearly hope that if you are in or around the area, you'll stop by. Even messaging the museum, and I don't want to say blowing up their email, but saying that you like this kind of programming and you want to see more of it is a helpful indicator. The show hasn't started yet. It opens on May 1st, so don't start writing emails just yet, because a lot could happen between now and May. But I'm super excited, and I keep saying excited because it's true. And I was working on that all night last night, getting the objects list kind of figured out, and it was important to me to include some information about each of the artists and different things like that. So that took a lot longer than I thought, and I'm in an exhibition that's opening next week on Friday at You Are Here Gallery. And I was preparing my piece and like the bio and stuff for that. So, and if you are far away from the Metal Museum, don't despair. I'm going to go there and take people on a virtual tour of the show, hopefully, talk to some of the artists. I think it would be incredible to get some of them to talk about their own work. I think it's really important for artists to be able to speak on their own work and put it in their own words, even though I'm not always the best at that. But yeah. So, anyways, I missed a bunch of comments. I'm gonna scroll back and see what we've got going on. Amy's watching. Hey, Amy. She says the Rainbow Mafia. Oh, good. Yeah, that sounds festive. Koliti is watching. Hi. Hopefully you're not bogged down with too much traffic. I've been seeing a bunch of posts coming in from Tucson, which has been really kind of exciting. I've got some things going on, but I'm not going to talk about them too much. I will say that I will be in my piece, The Pearl Diver, will be in a pop-up exhibition at the Snag at Tucson event. You can Google SNAG, which is the Society of North American Goldsmiths, which now there's like 2 goldsmiths in the club now. But I aspire to be a goldsmith. Maybe if I make some more money, I can join the fun. But anyway, so I have a piece up in that show. It's called Bring on the Gems. I'm super thankful for the opportunity to share my work. And yeah, so that's happening in Tucson. So if you're in Tucson, check that out. That is opening February 1st through 3rd. I think. Google it, and it will show you the answers better than what I can remember. Anne's watching. Hey, Anne. Vanessa's watching. Hey, Vanessa. Vanessa says, been live long? No, I've been on for 14, 15 minutes. And the reason why you did not know what was going on is because when I do it, when I go live by myself, It's like the loving hands of home, where I don't know how to do a bunch of the stuff that William does, and so he like puts banners and schedules events and all that kind of fun stuff. And I'm like, we're live. Hello. Like I don't know how to turn on the Instagram. So for all the friends out on Instagram who are like, I thought they were gonna go live. Sorry, y'all. Um, but I don't know how to do that. So we all have our strengths on this team, and tech is not one of mine. So, and I'm open and honest about that. And so I bet that will be a really interesting show. I think it will be. I'm pretty excited about it. I've been, I've only been in the metals world for a very short amount of time. Um, and I've been in the DIY kind of jewelry sector for a long time. Y'all know that. But in the metals world, which is like which is a subsection of the craft world, um, I've only been really pursuing this for the past couple years. So since the pandemic is when I started taking classes, and then when I started taking classes, then I started getting these different opportunities. And those only really happened within the past couple years. So it's really such an honor for me because I'm pretty much a nobody in that kind of sphere. I shouldn't say a nobody, but I don't have the big exposure that a lot of the other people who are curating shows do. So I feel really honored and blessed that they were able to see my voice and want to showcase it and help me empower other artists by sharing their stories and their work. So I feel really lucky to be able to do that, even though I don't have a huge I haven't been doing that I haven't been in the metals world for very long. Cheryl's watching. Hi, Cheryl. Norma says, it's only about 6.5 hours from me. I may be able to see it. Norma, I passed right by you. I say I'd pick you up, which I do. I go right through Kentucky when I go down. Cheryl says, how is the vehicle repair going? Last night, it not well. Bolt had got stuck, and William was like, I am so glad that I'm not doing this on my own, because he thought he's gonna go up in the driveway and he gonna turn on the YouTube and do it. No, no, they had to get like the blowtorch out and mess with stuff and knocking bolts, and stuff happened, and they had to get new things because some of the bolts got stripped. I acted like I knew what he's talking about, but I didn't know what he's talking about. He said a lot of words about the car. We were both haggard, tired, and I was like, "Oh, I'm glad you are okay." And I'm so glad that his mom let him borrow her car to drive home, because I was supposed to go and like go drive there and then drive back, and I know that if I had done that, I'd have fallen asleep for sure. Um, so yeah. Khalidi said that she's going to go check out the snag show. Oh, good. There's a bunch of tool vendors there. There's an artisan market, and then there's the pop up exhibition. I believe Tanya Davidson is doing the kind of organizing. She's like on the ground organizer there for that show. So, yeah. So I think it'll be fun. And it's only the second year they've done that. I did it last year and it was actually there. Excuse me. And that was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. So um yeah. All right. So what's next? Oh, if you didn't know, today's the day. It's the reveal day for the 2024 design competition. If you didn't know that, head on over to the Allegory Gallery Design Challenge group. I'll put the banner up for that. And all of the instructions are in the group on how to participate. We also have a blog on our website that's allegorygallery.com. And it also has instructions on how to participate. Not so much on the voting stuff yet, but the voting stuff is all included in the group where you would vote anyway. Um, so yeah, so I hope folks are heading over there. I've seen a little bit. You have until 11:59 Eastern time tonight to submit your design. I didn't see that many designs. So I think, I don't know what we're going to do if we have, I guess if we have too many prizes, we just are going to have too many prizes and everybody will be a winner that wants to be a winner. But anyways, if you're interested in that, head on over there, check that out. Vote for your favorites. The voting is open for at least 1 week. And then we'll take the weekend to do our tabulations and figure everything out and do the judge's choice with the curveball pieces. And yeah, we'll announce that on Monday the 9th. I don't know. Time is not super duper. I don't know. I have like a calendar and I set alarms for myself, and they go off, it says do this thing, and then I go do that thing, and then I don't think about what day it is or anything like that. So anyways, there's a lot going on. Also, if you didn't see, it's Beat in the New Year. And that is, what's today? Today is Friday. It says work with resin. Is that backwards for y'all? Or no, that's right. Work with resin. Did any of y'all work with resin today? That's a hard Friday project if you work during the day. I guess it's not. And resin, there's all different kinds of resin. So another thing that happened is that I got asked by a venue in Pittsburgh to teach for them. And so that's exciting. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not saying where it is yet, and I'm not saying what I'm teaching yet because I don't actually know yet. I've taught a lot over the years, and I've taught a lot of classes. That are ones that are kind of like in my staple of classes that I teach and teach regularly. So we kind of have to sit down and talk about the classes that are going to work and the timing and look at the schedule and all that fun stuff. I am going to be in Memphis not only to do the curatorial talk about the No Place Like Home show, but I'm also going to be a part of the fire conference. And it's a large scale cast and pour event. And that's a week-long event. So I'm super excited for that. I've never done anything like that. I've only done small stuff. So it's going to be exciting to do bigger. I'm like going like this. I don't know how. I mean, this is big to me, but like, some of those people doing like, their whole bodies or whatever. But anyway, so I'm super excited about that. I'm going to be there for a week doing that in May, and in theory, I might be going to San Diego, but with everything going on with the store move and William's job and stuff, we kind of have to sit down and look at the numbers. But if anybody has a couch that I can stay on in San Diego, hit me up and maybe it will make it more reality. But there's a snag conference that is going to happen in the beginning of June, and I would love to go to that. It's always nice to see all these people come together and hear the different presentations and see the little pop-up exhibitions. So I don't know. I went last year. William and I went last year to Providence, or maybe it was the year before. I can't keep track. But it was a lot of fun. I met a lot of people and it was a really good time. I actually presented. I was there at one of their closing speakers. And that was really an honor to be considered for that. But anyway, so tonight we've got vintage glass. Some of this is old, old, old. And I left some of the tags on so you could see. Um, and the original tags. We've got 50 lots tonight. If you would be so kind to like and share the posts, this video, this live, it means that more people can see it and more people can participate, and that means we can keep doing these, and I hope we can keep doing them forever and ever and ever and ever. So yeah, so there's a lot of really cool stuff tonight, some stuff that I haven't ever seen anywhere else. So Marianne says she's done it already. Oh good, thank you. And Norma says, I thought about working with resin. Does that count? If you draw it out, draw your plan, then take a picture. I guess that counts. Resin is something that I feel like once you know how to work with it, it's super easy, super fun. You can make a lot of incredible things that are very lightweight or could be lightweight, very durable. There's a lot of applications for it that I think are awesome. And there are so many different kinds of resin now that there's clear resin, there's fast cast resin, there's all kinds. So anyways, before I digress too far off the talk, let's flip this around and get going. How about it? Who's ready? I'm trying to be upbeat for y'all because sometimes when I go on and do the live by myself, it's generational trauma time, and I don't know. William, I think he prefer me not to make everybody cry and then drink their tears like that one movie that one time. All right, camera. Let's see. You can tell also that I haven't gone. Okay, back ultra wide camera. All right. You can tell I haven't been live probably since my dad died. I've been in the background this whole time. So it's kind of like riding a bike, right? All right. So here we go. Let me put this down a little bit closer. Put this it's not an arm, by the way. It's a piece of driftwood. It does kind of look like if I put my arm, but it's not. All right, so let me put this banner up and it will tell you how to claim tonight, but I suspect you all know how, not that one. I suspect you all know how to do this already. Y'all probably have this down pack in your sleep. But to purchase from this video, take down each lot number, and if it's an MLA lot, which means multiple lots available, tell us how many you want. Otherwise, we'll assume you want one. And send it to us in an email at info@allegorygallery.com. Please, please, please make sure that if you're sending us an email and you've never sent us one before, that you have Allegory spelt right, for one. Number two, that you say Allegory Gallery, and it's all one word. And I don't know if it matters if it's lowercase or uppercase, but yes. So info@allegorygallery.com. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is I think maybe yesterday, the day before, somebody sent us a message and they were super duper upset because they said, I claimed all this stuff, and you never wrote me back, and I'm very disappointed. And what we realized is they were not using the right email address. And this happens all the time. And unfortunately, we can't change our email address. And maybe we could, I don't know. But that's another conversation for another day. But so, yeah, so they were super upset. And luckily, we figured it out, and by the end of it, no hard feelings. But I don't ever want anybody to feel like we're ignoring them, or they're not being seen or acknowledged, or that we don't care about you all, because we do. um, we care a lot about you all. That's how we get to do what we do, and we have fun hanging out with y'all. So we just want you to know that yes, we appreciate all of you out there, and we're grateful for all of you. All right. So, yeah, so to get the lots, if you've never claimed from us before, also include your shipping address. Unfortunately, we have to charge sales tax if you are in the state of Pennsylvania. Um, Unfortunately, we just have to do that. That's what we have to do. We get charged it, so you have to get charged it. So that's one thing. And we also use that to factor in the shipping. So just keep that in mind if you're a new customer. And if you are a new customer, welcome. I hope you have a good time. All right. So Michelle says, "You are saved in my email." She says, LOL, my issue is sometimes my email doesn't want to work. Yeah, I've been there. I was like, pick me, pick me. Um, all right. So tonight's lots are going to be N, D, V, G. And then this is going to be lot number 1. It's $5. And you get these. What do y'all think? I'll put these down for a size comparison, and then I'll zoom in a little bit closer. These are a beautiful um, uh, teal colored. What do they call that? Uh, oh boy, it just disappeared from my brain. It's when it has the stripes. And it's a creature, I think. Anyways, it's this kind. Usually, it's like tortoise. So this is a teal tortoise check glass vintage daggers, $5 for the lot, and it's NDVG1. All right. I love this color yellow all day long. All right. So that's NDVG1. Let me get the next one lined up. I have these set aside, but they kind of got messed up because I pushed them all to the side. All right. Hopefully, y'all are doing well. We don't have as big of a crew tonight, and it's probably my fault because we haven't been going live regularly. If you were here in the beginning, you probably heard me talk about the story of William being there until midnight. This is okay. So this has a little bit of a story to it. So I went to this show, and this is probably, I don't know how many years, over a decade. It's been a while. And one of the vendors there was this person, and they were just stringing up the strands on fishing line, and they had all these loose beads, and they would make these kinds of strands, and that's how they would sell them. And so, I mean, they had, they'd been, it wasn't their first show or whatever, but I've never seen them ever again. And they had all these really cool vintage beads, and it was a while ago, so they'd put like a lot on a strand, and they gave me really good prices. And it was fun because sometimes you would get these really cool kind of mixes. So, like with this, you would never see a strand of check glass, vintage check glass, like this size. This is like an 8-inch strand, and and then you get the mix and match. So there's black, there's it's a jet color with an AB finish, and then we've also got some cobalt blue with an AB finish. You've got some emerald green with the AB finish, and then you've got some kind of garnety colored hearts with the AB finish. So this is NDVG2, and it's $5 for the strand. And I only have one of those, and a lot of the strands tonight, I only have one. So just keep that in mind. All right. Moving on. What y'all having for dinner? I made lentil soup, and I made a ginormous pot of it. And now I'm getting kind of tired of it. All right, this is NDVG3, also $5. This is a cute little strand of these mini daggers. These are an opalescent seafoam green color. They just glow. They remind me so much of Luna moths. If you've ever seen a Luna moth in person, then you know it's got this like almost phosphorescent green with it's got a beautiful kind of shimmer to it. So these ones, I don't know, I don't want to get too close, but these are these little mini daggers, and these are only $5 for this little strand. Amy says she's having Korean fried chicken. I miss fried chicken. You know, we're vegetarians now, and when I smell the fried chicken, I sometimes want to cave because that's my Achilles heel. Um, Anne says, "Oh, I love lentil soup. I had scrambled eggs." Marion says, "Cheesies." And then there's a little cat. Kolidi says, "I had Japanese sweet potato noodles with veggies and barbecue pork." Wow, that sounds nice. Yeah, I kind of want to do something to jazz up dinner tonight, but I don't know. Anyway, so up next, it's not that. All right, it's kind of got all messed up. In theory, I should take like a minute and like organize all this. All right. All right. Marianne says, now I want barbecue pork. NDVG4. Suzanne says she's having stuffed peppers. That sounds good. Norma says, when I lived in the woods in Virginia, the house was covered in Luna moths at dusk. So cool. I'd never seen them before. That's wonderful. That sounds like it needs to be a painting. All right. So they're called serrated daggers or feathers. And they've got, I don't know if you can see that, but they've got slight little marks on the edges of those. They're not chipped, but they're made this way. So these ones are really beautiful. They're a very lovely shade of like a pale lavender, transparent. And this is NDVG4. NDVG4. And it's only $5 for that strand, which is a pretty big strand for daggers, as y'all know. All right, moving on. We've got NDVG5, $5. And this is a really cool strand. And these at first, they look plain, right? Like little black rondelles, and then you're like then you turn it in just the right light, and then you get this, like I don't know how they got the AB finish like that, but it's, like, supercharged, and it's only on one side, so it looks black, then not, and so you've got that really cool and it's only on the one side too. So it's really pretty. It's kind of an illusion. I don't know. Like it's cool. I had stare at this for a very long time. But these are longer strands also. So just keep that in mind also. Cause usually nowadays you get the little shorty strands, maybe like this long. And that's still good too. But this is like you getting double stuffed. And not only that, but for $5, that's awesome. So this is NDVG5, $5. And yeah, there's only one of these strands available. I think this would be great in like a wrap bracelet, something where you're going to have that movement. Either that or sewing these on. Um, And then doing, like, I don't know, fish scales or dragon scales. Oh, I have more dragon paintings, but William, he was at work today. Jen couldn't come in to do the class, so he was there all day today. So, and it was busy in the shop, so he did not get a chance to add them to the online store. So unfortunately, they're not on the online store. Um, so we'll debut some more over the weekend, I guess. I don't know. Either that or like Monday, it's gonna be like double stuffed with stuff. But anyways, this is NDVG5. Fun times. Oh, alright. So up next this is a really cool strand. And if it doesn't go, I'm gonna be shocked. You're gonna be able to push me over with a feather. I'll be surprised because it is just so cool. Um, one of the things I wanted to say, and I didn't know if I was gonna say this or not, but some of my friends have offered to go around and shop for us in Tucson. So we might be bringing in some goodies from Tucson for all of you out there. I was super bummed that we weren't going to go this year, especially since I have a show coming up at um, the for the Snag show, and I really wanted to be a part of that or be there for that. But anyway, so these are super light. So I don't know how they get them to be so light, but they're like super frosted with this crazy metallic silver finish. And it's done in this kind of crackly, kind of grungy style. So they look so cool. I think they have such a lovely texture. They have a lot of shine. I think, and they're super lightweight. These would be magnificent for earrings because they are like light as a feather, stiff as a board up in here. Um, Maybe not. If you didn't get that reference, then never mind. But anyway, so this is NDVG6. Khalidi says moon rock vibes. I could get behind that. You know, we do a lot of stuff with Beads of Courage, and one of the guys who was a presenter, he had these moon rocks for sale that they were doing as a fundraiser for them, and I guess they like snuck some of the beads on the spaceship, and so the beads had been to like outer space. I thought that was pretty cool, and then I was talking to him, and he was saying that like every single thing has to be like calculated for the weight and stuff. So like you don't think beads are very big or very heavy or like they like contribute to that. But they had to like do all these calculations like based on the extra weight. So I thought it was pretty cool that something so small has been to like something that only like a handful of people who have ever gotten to experience. And then also, they have such an impact, life or death. Beads, y'all. Beads. So this is NDVG6, $8 for that strand, for that lovely light strand of silvery beads. Super cool. Super cool. I thought that they weren't glass, they were so light, but I don't know how they do that. So, how they got the weight down. Now, this is our first MLA lot with multiple lots available. And this is NDVG7, $6 each. I'm going to show you however many we have. Let's see how many we have. We have one. This is that beautiful cobalt. This is in a fluted kind of tube shape. So it's like a pentagon. There's 5 sides to it. And yeah, beautiful cobalt blue color. That's the color of those poison balls. Y'all know them poison balls I'm talking about, but like in a nice way, or old-timey Vicks. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 4 lots of those. And let me get a writing utensil. Now you tell us how many y'all want if you want them, but there's 4 of these available. All right. So that's NDVG7 for those beautiful cobalt blue tubes. Just for $6 only. Strand. All right. So what are y'all reading? Are you reading anything fun or interesting? I'm listening to the Martha Wells Fall of Ren books. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The one is called The Wizard Hunters. And then The Ships of Air. And then I'm on the last one, but I just started it. So that's 7. So we're going to go to 8. All right. So this is going to be NDVG8, $5 for this. This is a strand. This would go perfect with the other ones that were just featured. A beautiful cobalt blue. They're faceted rondelles. So sparkly. Boy, they're so sparkly they make my teeth ache. And that beautiful color is just so beautiful. That beautiful, beautiful, beautiful of the beautiful of the beautiful of the beautiful. I'm getting wild. But aren't they pretty? Boy, if I could be this colored skin, I would be this colored skin. But then we read those books about the blue people and then they got treated really bad, so maybe not. But that's such a pretty color. Anyways, NDVG8. And so they just checked the Thursday Night Murder Club out from the library. Hope it's good because it's a whole series. Oh boy. Marianne says, still on the same book as when you last asked. I don't remember. What is it? Norma says, I just finished the book club selection, The Language of Flowers. I need to finish that also. Amy says, the inbred blue people. They get a bad rap for it, but I think it's just they had, you know, I don't know if that, they're technically inbred. I think part of the book where they were talking about how people thought they're inbred because they're blue, but they just had this thing where their genetics made them. I don't know. Their skin turned blue because of some oxygen or something. I don't know. I can't remember. Cussy Mary. I think that's her name. They're in Kentucky. The bookwoman. 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 All right. Before people think I've done lost my mind. Speaking of blue, Anne says an enzyme deficiency. Is that what that is? I know they were giving her these drops, and you know what? I bought out this vintage uh or antique enamel section collection, and they had some of that stuff that they were giving her as medicine, and it was in this little tiny bottle, and I have no idea what they use for it with enameling, but I was like, Is this the same thing that they gave her as like the medicine to make her white?" And it was, so I was like, oh my goodness. Khalidi says people who ingest silver will turn blue. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Um, so speaking of blue, this is a beautiful kind of ombre of blue leaf beads. These are vintage check, and there's some of this like more aqua, and it goes into that more pale blue. But this strand, this whole strand, normally these leaves they come on a strand that's like this, and that's like $6 to $8. But you're getting this and this, so that's a big strand. William clearly was not a part of the pricing this evening, and I hope he's not watching because he's gonna be like, "What you doing?" Um, and that's what. So this is NDVG9, $8. Marian says, when Christ and the saints slept, about anarchy in England. Oh boy. All right. So up next is NDVG10, $5 also. This really lovely, they're 2-hole beads, and they're kind of like the stick shaped, like a bar. And then they're this beautiful peridot, kind of slimer green. That probably didn't sell it, did it? The slimer. But y'all know who I'm talking about. From Ghostbusters, maybe you don't know. But they used to make food in this color, and then you're supposed to like eat it. And it was supposed to be like Slimer's ectoplasm. Am I making this up? I think that happened. That was like a real thing. It was like Tang, but slime colored. But I could be wrong. I mean, it's been a while. It's been like over 30 years. So, Khalidi says fun color. Amy says I haven't seen these 2-hole bars before. They're old. They're vintage. Cheryl says it's true. I'm glad because sometimes I'm like, did I dream that? Did I just like have like a dream of that? Like at one point, somebody was like, "Oh, Gregorian chants were like popular and on the radio," and I was like, "They were," and I remember this. This was like in 1993 to 1994. They were like on the radio, Gregorian chants, and you're like, "How? What?" And now you think about that, and you're like, unless it's like a very specific like channel on Gregorian chants or like PBS style for the radio. Yeah, you wouldn't hear that on the top 40. Amy says, "High C juice box." Is that what that was? I don't know. I can't remember. We were always too broke, so they never got. My parents never got like store brand stuff. Like I remember, like I wanted Gushers, like it was my life's work, and like I had to finagle so hard to get those Gushers. All right, talking about beads that you've never seen before. We've got a bunch coming up that are pretty rare. And they were rare when I bought them, and they're probably even more rare now. And that will be after I locate the next lot. Um, how about this? I'm going to talk with you all about things in life, and I'm going to gently organize this in a row so that I don't have to play seek and find every time that I pull a lot. How about that? Are y'all watching any good shows? We just finished Echo, which was on Disney Plus, and that was really good. I really enjoyed that. The actress is Native American and deaf, and she did a great job. I don't know if she's really deaf in real life, but I'm assuming so. And oh, here it is. All right. I just had some spam, so I had to take care of that. Why do they have to do the spam when I'm trying to do the organizing real quick? All right. Marion says lots on YouTube. Amy says we got a troll. Troll. Oh, like the troll dolls? Those are coming. That's on the Lucky kit. All right. So this is NDVG11. And these ones are pretty rare, my friends. This is $12. Is one strand of this. These ones, I vaguely recall them calling these watercolor beads. And these are vintage check glass. Oh, I did it. I took it. I made him. I made him go away. Yo. I was like, "What y'all talking about?" Um, and you can tell that this is old because this rubber band has become petrified. It's become a little mineral specimen. It's not a booger, it's a rubber band. But these beads are beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So these are each one is one of a kind. Really, you could put one on a piece and call it a day. Because they're so nice like that. And then they're pretty on both front and back, but they've got this really wild finish. There was a brief time when they were doing all this kind of like splatter and kind of gestural painting, like abstract expressionism kind of vibes. Amy says the rubber band is fossilizing. Correct. It's hard. Marion says galaxies. That would make a really good idea for a piece using these. I'm gonna put them down because I think the color of my skin is turning them a different color. But they're a beautiful blue, purple with a little bit of a red. And they've got kind of a metallic luster. Very beautiful. Only one strand of these available. NDVG11, $12. The next one, y'all. Next one. Let me. So let me put this in there. So we finished watching Echo. That was a really short one, but we enjoyed it. You know, sometimes the superhero shows, I get so bored now because it's all kind of the same thing. And actually, sometimes the superhero movies, they kind of make me pissed off. Like Batman, he's a billionaire, and instead he's gonna get punched in the face instead of like doing good. It's like, that's a lot of the problems that you're having is caused from uh, systematic poverty. All right, y'all. This is not a cheap date, but this is the original price. I can't make that up. That's the original price. I paid that back in the day. And if y'all know whose tag that is, you know that's how much that costs. So these are really beautiful. These are antique check glass beads. These are a very pale blue bead that has ribbons of pink and white embedded in it. But the ribbons of pink and white in the glass make it look purple. So if you remember the interview that we did with Linka from Raven's Journey, she was saying how some of the beads, they have different workshops work on different kinds of beads and different shapes and different styles, and there are only a few people who work in larger beads, and these ones I would consider larger beads. Amy says like old Jablonek. Probably. I can't remember exactly. Oh, bless. Another troll. Sally says, I'm watching season 2 of The Traitors. Alan Cummings is the host. He is so good. What is it with the YouTube people and the troll? Anyways, so this is NDVG12, $30 for this strand. Originally priced $40, and very old antique check glass beads. And then this, I guess I missed it. Anything exciting? Just I don't know. Spammers, beads. Beads are always exciting. We've been getting double struck with all the spammers. I know. I'm having an okay Friday night. I could use a drink. My throat is dry like the Sahara. But Khalidi says maybe they're looking for love streams to infest. I don't know what that means. Live streams to infest. Maybe. I don't know. I don't usually get a lot of spammer people, but that was just two within like 2 seconds of each other. All right, this is another rarish shape, and then you got that mix and match. I am never gonna do this for y'all, so I'm not gonna ever do this. So these are like a one-off. But you've got this real pretty kind of periwinkle blue, cornflower blue, then you have a purple, And these are coins. They're flat coins, and then they're like faceted on the edges, but then slightly tumbled. And then you have a lot of this beautiful kind of tanzanite lavendery color. Beautiful. And one of these available. Vanessa said that, oh, they're looking for love in all the wrong places. That's not how you win love from me. But anyways. All right. We're going to move on to some vintage glass that's not from the Czech Republic. We're going to Japan. Now, I split these up into 2 lots because I thought they were different enough that they warranted their own thing. So this is NDVG14, $18. And these ones. These are so lovely. Marianne, this is probably not your flavor, but these are beautiful. They're like a cranberry that's mixed with a white, which makes pink. But these are very beautiful. These are, you can see the original tag, Cherry brand, made in Japan, original tag. We usually sell these 1 a piece or maybe like 5, but not the whole strand. And these are NDVG14. And I don't have calipers, otherwise I'd measure them for y'all. They done got raptured somewhere. Oh, no. I thought I did for a second, but it's a tag. Oh, I do. I found them. Amy says, I got the black version of these from the D-Stash. Oh, good. Yeah, these ones I love. I was going to keep these. So these are about 12 millimeter by about 11. So 11, they're, you know, they're not perfectly round. They're a little bit squat, but these are lovely. I don't know if y'all can see how pretty they are. So light, one of the things we're going to have to do is work on the lighting situation up in here. I think we're getting better. It's not terrible, but it feels like it's dark in here, even though we have a bunch of lights on and I'm sweating. But yeah. NDVG14, $18. All right. I hope folks are enjoying these. I know I had fun digging for our stuff. William's office looked like a wreck for a couple days. Still does. I need to go through and sort things. All right. NDVG15 is the sister strand of the last ones. This one I think has more stripes than the last one, but they're the same colors. And I love these. You know, Miriam Haskell, she used to use this brand in her designs. So, I mean, Miriam Haskell is a brand that's still making stuff now, but she was active, what, in the 50s? Late 40s, early 50s, into the 60s. So, that's these. Beautiful, beautiful, deep, dusky rose pink. Beautiful cranberry in there too. Lovely. If I don't say so myself, I could stare at those all day. All right, so that was 15. Up next is 16. All right. We're going to get some little table cuts, y'all. So this is NDVG16, $5. And talk about cranberry, y'all. This is that deep, deep red. Now, old red glass, they would use gold to get that color. So generally speaking, all the red beads usually are a little bit more expensive because they use gold. I don't know how the gold turns red, but it does somehow. And then on the ends, it has that Picasso, which is that kind of greenish, kind of lichen color up on the ends. And then these were table cut. So zip, zip, zip. And then they reveal the inner core of the beads, which are that beautiful red color. All right, NDVG16, $5 only. If you're interested in that, send it to us in an email at info@allegorygallery.com. All right. Oh, so we finished Echo. That was only a short one. That's maybe like 5 episodes long. And then the new season of Queer Eye came out on Netflix. We've been enjoying that, though it makes me oddly emotional. So I don't know how I feel about that. They had this one at the deaf school, and I was like crying my eyes out, which is unusual for me. But all right, so this is NDVG17, and we've got some stars. Hey, has anybody seen Sandra? I haven't seen her for a while, it seems. Anyways, hopefully everybody's well. We've also been having like really crazy different time schedules for our lives. And eventually, once things settle down, we'll kind of have a regular time. But we're just going to we're just going to do our best and kind of go on when we can go on because we've just been so slammed with everything with the shop move and everything like that and the weather. It's been beautiful here in Pennsylvania, though. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is, but it's been warmed up. So, I've been spending a little bit of time getting stuff ready to ship out. So, there's more stuff going. Barb's been working every day to ship stuff out too. So, we've just been busy, busy, busy. Brian says, no, haven't seen Sandra for a bit. I know, I get worried. But these are little puffy stars. They're matte black in one of those long strands. Only $7. Usually that'd be more. Usually when you see that old glass, they sell it like it's like this. You maybe get like 10. But you get that whole thing, double stuff style. I love those. If nobody gets those, I'll keep them. I'm not afraid. I love stars. So NDVG17, $7 only. All right. My friend Georgia, she has a bead store in New Orleans called the Bead Shop on Magazine Street. And supposedly they were doing an episode in one of her things, but we haven't seen it yet. So I don't know if it made it if they had it or if they cut it. I don't know. So or if we just didn't get there yet. All right, so this is NDVG18. This is an unusual shape. This is kind of like a gumdrop. It's not really, it's like a cone that's like softened. So this is another long strand for check glass. It's a beautiful kind of purple color. And it's got a really lovely AB finish on it. So, and it's like a bright blue. Oh, Barnaby. He's not doing so good today. The weather's shifting. He always has trouble when the weather shifts. All right. So this is NDVG18, only $12 for this long strand of these beautiful vintage check glass beads. And if you need sizes for anything, let me know. And I've got calipers out, and I can do and measure them every once in a while. All right. So we're going to move on to some more purple loveliness, some more purple rain. And that's going to be NDVG19, $8, and there's multiple lots available. So if you want more than one, let us know. We have 2 of these available. Let me write this down. All right. And these are like an elongated bicone, and they're in a beautiful translucent or transparent purple. And so they seem to like glow a little bit. And we have 2 strands of these available, and they're $8 a piece. So if you're interested in those, send us an email at info@allegorygallery.com. All right. So, yeah, so we watched that last night, part of it. I like that show. I know some people don't like it, but I like it. All right, up next. Now, these ones are old, y'all. All right, this is NDVG20, $18. And these are really pretty. All right, so this is a long strand for one. Number 2, these are a really cool kind of amber color, topaz, ambery, dark topaz, amber color. But then they've got this crazy AV finish. And you can tell that these are old because these ones have the mold lines. Usually when you get the newer beads, they don't have the mold lines like that. But like every once in a while, they'll use these molds, um, like the English cuts that people get. They have the mold lines and stuff. But these are really old beads. And I'm guessing maybe the 30s. 30s. I'm guessing 30s. But lovely, lovely, lovely check glass. VNDVG20, $18 for the strand. And because they're like that teardrop shape, there's a lot on the strand. So just keep that in mind because sometimes it like, oh, that's there, sometimes the shape of the beads means you get more on a strand or fewer on a strand. But those ones, the way they lock together, there's a bunch. All right. Up next is NDVG21, $5 only. And they're these little cubes. Are they cubes? No, they're not. They're shorty pentagons, shorty tubes, but they've got that kind of geometric to them. They're clear, but they've got this crazy AB finish that's really very colorful. And it's very, very, very pretty. And you can see that it's doing some pretty wild things with my eyeballs right now with all that shimmer, all that shine. And that's NDVG21, $5 only. I love these. I have a soft spot for old beads. I have a soft spot for glass beads. I have a soft spot for AB finish. Triple threat. All right. Now, I love these ones coming up. I don't know. Some of y'all might not like it. I like it. And if nobody gets these, I'm going to keep them. So this is NDVG22, $18. And you get this beautiful strand of this very pale gray with an AV finish. And these are that melon shape, kind of. I wonder why they call this melon. It doesn't really look... Maybe there's like a melon that looks like that, but... I heard somebody call this one's corrugated rondelles. But that doesn't have the same kind of allure that melon does. Anyway, so this is beautiful. It looks almost like labradorite. Do y'all think that looks like labradorite? It's not. It's glass. And you get one of these pretty long strands, NDVG22, $18 only. Yeah, I think those are lovely. I would keep those. I might. Polides says labradorite vibes. Yeah, some of my favorite vibes. I love a good labradorite. All right. There's a pretty purple lovers out there tonight. There's a lot. So this is a little purple, deep purple, like African amethyst kind of purple vibes. And it's NDVG23, $7 for that. Let me bag up the other ones. Those are really pretty. I love that. It has more of a little red base to it. You know how sometimes purple can go either kind of red towards red or towards blue. These favor the red. So it's like a warmer, darker purple. Oh, Danette's watching. Hello, Danette. Are you still planning to go on Saturday? I'm not going to be at the shop, but William will be. These are really pretty. So grape-alicious up in here, y'all. So, NDVG23, $7. All right. Coming up next are the mix and match strands. I hope y'all like those. I don't really know anybody else who does that. I haven't found anybody except that one time who was making strands like this. All right. NDVG24, $16. And it's another longer strand. And then check these flowers out. They're like plumerias. So you get that really glacier kind of blue up in there. Did you see that story with them people? They're selling the Arctic ice and then shipping it to like Dubai or something. So for like a cocktail bar. It's supposed to be like the purest ice you can get. This is a little bit darker. And then the end times over here is much darker. And then so you get a lot on this strand. I thought about breaking this up and just selling it onesie twosie, but then I get nervous sometimes that I'm going to end up with like, you know, a bunch of onesie twosie stuff. All right, so that's NDVG24, $16 only. If you're interested in that or any of the other lots tonight, send us an email at info@allegorygallery.com. All right, moving on. Danette says, "Yepper, I'm planning on being there at the shop." Oh, good. Not too many days left to shop the old store. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 days left to shop in the online or in the physical store. We're going to be closed all of February to move. We're going to have our grand opening probably in May. Or March. All right. This is NDVG25, $7 for this whole strand of these little plumpy daggers. They're not as long, and they're really kind of wild in that they've got this striped glass, and then down the center is black. Vanessa says, the moving sale still going on? Yes, the moving sale in store is 30% off of most items. There's some things that are not on sale. And then it's 25% online in the online store. And that's 25% off using coupon code moving sale, all one word together. That does not apply to this stuff because I already marked stuff way down. I'm sure once William sees the prices, he's gonna be like, "Why did you do? Why are you charging $5 for stuff?" And then I'll be like, "Well, whatever." Danette says, "Wow, only 4 days left to visit the physical store. Glad I'm coming over tomorrow." Yeah, and then we're gonna be closed for like a month. I don't know if we're probably gonna end up doing some sales like from the store, like as we clear stuff out, where we're just gonna have like yard sale style and be like, you know, try to move as much of the stuff because y'all have seen probably the new store. If you haven't, scroll back in the lives and we did a little tour of the new space, and it's smaller. So, and also the roof is, or the ceiling is different. In our current shop, the ceiling is like a grid, and the grid is they have like these structural bars that we can hang stuff off of, like the flying ladies and stuff. But in the new store, it's completely smooth, so there's no way to hang those really unless we install our own grid system, which who knows, we might end up doing. So these ones, NDVG25, $7 only. Amy said onesie, twosie, lot sales. Correct. Yeah, we want to have a reduction. I'm going to go through our store display too and get rid of a bunch of stuff because I'm a little bit, William doesn't decorate as much as I used to. I used to change out the decorations at the store all the time. And so we have a garage full of like fake flowers and all kinds of random things and skulls and trees and all kinds of stuff. So I think I might go through and clear out a bunch of that stuff too, because we just have so much of it. And the new store is only going to be open on weekends and by appointment. So, oh, I skipped some. Oops. No, I doubled. I didn't skip it. I doubled it. Oops. All right. Maybe we'll make that a prize lot. How about we'll do a prize lot? And it's like the most. This is a prize lot. And the prize will be this really cool vintage. These are English cut, but they're tiny, itsy bitsy. And they're this beautiful, warm kind of like warm bronze color. So this is prize number 1. I don't know if we'll have any more than one prize. I love these. I would keep these myself. But anyway, so this is prize number 1. And I'll go by who is commenting. The first one that I see was a right answer. Um, let's see. What would be a good question? All right. What was the color scheme from the first store? Does anybody know? Even if you haven't been shopping with us for a long time, we posted pictures somewhat regularly of how far we've come. So the person who can tell me what the color scheme of the first store was, I will give you this strand of beads. Cheryl says green. No. Emmy says purple. No. And there's two main colors. Danette says blue. I'll take that. Um, uh, it was blue. It was like a seashell or like a sky blue with slate gray and like metallic black. So Danette one. Let me put this in. Congratulations. Kathy says red. No. We've had a couple different store fronts since we've been open. We've been in business for over 12 years, which is pretty wild to think about that. And it's always bittersweet to move. It actually hasn't sunk in that we're moving, even though we bought a building. Sally says, congratulations. Marion says, I will have to watch the rest tomorrow. Good night. Nighty night. All right, so this is NDVG 26, and these are these kind of barrel bees. These are really cool. These are a little bit purple. You've got those little bits of purple, those sways of purple in a matte clear, and some of them have AB finish. Isn't that cool? Have you seen stuff like this before? Maybe. But this is not something that comes up very often. I'll be honest and tell you that. So this is NDVG 26, $10. All right. Yeah. It's been one of those things that's always bittersweet when you're moving. I was really, really kind of broken up the last time we moved. Because it was such I don't know if y'all knew about how we started off or not, but when we first opened the store, we're going to do generational trauma. So I don't know if y'all know this or not, but I was a cancer survivor. I had really aggressive skin cancer and had to undergo treatment and had a bunch of skin removed. And I thought I was being in debt forever. And then luckily, through the help of our community and different people and people who saw my story and helped negotiate with the hospital, we got our bill down from 80,000 to 10,000, and we were able to pay it off in about a year through different fundraising and our savings and whatnot. And so we were celebrating, and because I got the notice that I had paid the last bill, and so we were so happy about that. And then there was something was going in down the street, and it was this Chinese restaurant. It's Northern Chinese, which is different. It's more like hot pots and things like that, and dumplings. So more close to Tibet, I want to say. Anyways, so that's Northern Chinese cuisine. And it was in like this house. And so we emailed them and we were like, oh, let us know when you open. We're so excited for your new place. And when I say it's open, um, picture it. There's nothing for miles and miles except for trees, rocks, and hills. Maybe a couple houses scattered here and there. But we lived on 90 acres out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we had to have a cooler if we got ice cream because sometimes by the time we get home, it'd be melted. So, when a restaurant opens and you can pretty much hit it with a stone and you're out in the boondocks, um, then it's a pretty big thing. So, anyways, they emailed us, and that was the same day that I had we paid off my medical bills, and we were their first customers, probably their only customers that day. And they sat with us, it's probably like 3 hours that we were talking. And they were telling us all these stories about how hard it was, but how satisfying it was to become entrepreneurs and all the loops that they had, the hoops they had to jump through and everything like that. The place is called Mountain Palace, but it's not open anymore, at least not for food. And they also had Chinese porcelain vases and different things like that. Anyways, this is NDVG 27, $10. It's one of the mix and match strands. And anyway, so they kind of put this seed in my mind about, this idea of like how nice it is to have your own business. And when I just had my surgery, my cancer surgery, they didn't use stitches, they used staples. And I lost probably half a foot, half a square foot of skin. And so it was really hard for me to get comfortable because it was kind of like I was wearing a corset. And so I would lay in the bed um, and I couldn't sleep because every time I moved, it would be like a sharp shooting pain. And then William, he couldn't go in the bed because every time he would move, the bed would move, and then the staples would move, and it would be like a shock of pain. So he would lay on the ground on the floor next to the bed, and we would kind of talk all night long. And I call it dreaming out loud because, at that point, I didn't know if the cancer would come back or not. I didn't know. Um, the doctor, he said, because I wasn't going to go to the doctor actually. I was like, oh, it's going away. But William forced me to go because I had a tumor and on the surface it was going away. But the doctor said that it was burrowing deeper and that if it had gone through the muscle wall, then it would have spread to my vital organs and I would have died pretty quick. So it's a good thing that they caught it when they did. And they had to remove so much skin because of the margins. I don't know if y'all ever had to have anything removed because of skin cancer. But so anyway, so I wasn't going to even go, but he made me go. And so we would talk. We were dreaming about things that we wanted someday, one day, maybe. And, we both had William, he worked for that vintage British car part company that's burned to the ground. And he worked for a bunch of other small business owners. And that was NDVG 28 for those mix and match drops, vintage check. Um, and oh, I did it again. Well, that's fine. I must have got something happened. Hold up. All right. So, anyways, Here we go. So this is NDVG29, $5. And then I've got 2 strands of this. This is a multiple lots available. You only get 1 strand. There's 2 over here, and they're $5 each. Anyway, so we all had talked about how we wanted to have opened a store one day. This is a beautiful cobalt color. But we had always thought that that'd be like one day far off into the future. It's not something that we would have done when we did. Because at that time I was traveling a lot. And so I was traveling almost every single weekend. And so this is NDVG29, $5 each. So I really didn't think I was going to be in one place, like that was like when we were retired or something. And then when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. And I used to go to the shop, and the shop owner, she kind of knew, if she didn't know, she kind of sensed that I didn't have a lot of money. And so she used to give me odd little jobs around the house or around the store. And that really meant a lot to me growing up. And it was a safe space for me when times were tough. There was a lot of stuff going on at home, and it wasn't always comfortable to be at home. So I would go to the little shop and do little odd jobs for her. And she sold my artwork, was one of the first people who sold my artwork and believed in me and my abilities to do so. This is old Czech crystal. So this is not Esper. This is not Chinese. This is old Czech crystal. And you can tell it's a little bit heavier and it's much more sparkly. But anyway, so that left a really lasting impression of wanting to create a space for people and to have that. So we went to this restaurant, and we left pretty early, and we're still celebrating. So we went to Johnstown, which is not too far away from where we live, maybe 30 minutes away from where we live. And this is NDVG30, $16 for the strand. And so we went to Johnstown, and I recognized somebody who was dancing, and they were with their friend, and it was the owner of the bookstore in town. And I knew her because we used to come in and buy books all the time. And I love books. It's not a surprise if you've seen our collection. So there's 2 strands of this. Oh no, there's 1 strand. Never mind. I thought there was 2 of this. Well, we'll go with it. This is Czech glass elongated bicones, $12. It's there's not multiple lots. There's only 1 lot. I thought this was 2 lots. But anyway, I'm not going to change the price. So we ran into her, and we're like, so what you doing? What you up to? How's life? And she's like, well, actually, I'm kind of not in a great mood. And my friend took me out, and I was like, why are you in a bad mood? And she said, well, because I'm probably going to lose my shop. And I was like, oh no, why are you going to lose your shop? And there was a little cafe that was in the front of the bookstore, and they split expenses and stuff. And she said that they had closed, and they had tried to rent out that front space, but nobody had you know it's a pretty unusual kind of situation. I guess it's not that unusual, but to have a shop, like, share a space for a shop like that. And so when we moved, at first I was like, no. And she's like, you want to open a store? And I was like, no. But then by the end of the night, William had convinced me. And then the next day, we showed up with tape measures. She wasn't there. She had too much fun the night before. But we went around with the helper girl, and she helped us measure the store and figure out square footage. And then that's probably in June. In June, I want to say. And that was because we officially opened in September. So it's probably in June after Beat and Button. But anyway, so NDVG 31, $12. That long strand. I hope somebody gets that and appreciates that, because that should not be that. But anyways. And then after that, I always tell this story. Y'all probably tired of me telling this part, but I brought my business proposal to the bank because I wanted to get a small business loan. Right, this is NDVG 32. And I brought my business proposal. I was super excited. I worked real hard on it. This is like a bicone. These are not as crisp and tight as like S-word bicone, but it's got that beautiful color, that kind of bottle glass green. Anyway, so I took my business proposal into the bank, and the manager laughed in my face, and they said, "You're going to be closed within 6 months." And I was like, "Am I going to get a loan?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "You're never going to be able to have a business like that here. There's never been a business like that here. And you can't make money doing that." And so, that was really hard. But, I also am a little bit stubborn. And I get this kind of from my dad. And I realized that he was a very stubborn person. Especially when he was dying, he got extra super stubborn. Like he checked himself out at the hospital because he was that stubborn. But anyway, so so I'm pretty stubborn, and so when I set my mind to it, I will work night and day and to make it a reality. And that's just kind of who I am as a person. I've always worked hard. We've always never not had to work. So we've always worked. Ever since I was age 8, I helped start with the lawn care company. And, I would pick weeds. And then when I was old enough, I would run the mower. And I was so light that they had to take and disengage the safeties. Because if you've never ridden on a commercial mower, if you're not heavy enough, what happens is it turns off the blades and it shuts down the mower because it kind of assumes that you've fallen off the mower, and it doesn't want to run you over with the blades and stuff. But since I was so light, because I was 9 years old, 10 years old, and probably like less than 100 pounds. I don't even know how much I weighed, but not enough. And so I would bounce. You go over some rough terrain, you start bouncing, and then the mower would shut off. So my dad ended up having to disengage the safety, which sounds real, OSHA safe or whatever. But yeah, so I've always worked, and I've never been afraid of hard work. And it's kind of bittersweet to go and think about like the early days. This is NDVG 33, $5. Some of you I've known since those early times, since before those times when I had the blog. And I was writing for books and magazines and stuff. But anyways, let's do a prize. All right. Prize number 2. Anne says, I ate there a couple times with you, Andrew. Yeah, we used to bring everybody who came and took classes there. So this is prize number 2. Some vintage check in this pretty red color. And let's see. What was William's first job? I just said it. So, and I'm not going to give it away too much. Prize number 2. First answer that's correct. What was William's first job? There's actually 2 answers to this question that could be considered right, but one was like a real job and one was like a not real job. Any questions? Anne says, working at the shop that just burned down. Correct. It's a vintage British car part company. Anne Merkel. We haven't seen you for a long, long time. All right. So anyways, that's, life where we. So we were in that space and shared that space with a bookstore. And we were there for a year. And eventually we ran out of room. So after that first year, we had a helper. Her name was Jill. And her family owned a strip mall. I guess it's not really a strip mall, but yeah, it's kind of a strip mall. And she says, "Oh, I have this space, and it's just down the road." All right, so this is NDVG 34. These really cool matte finish 2 beads. They're jet colored matte or satin finish with an AB coating. Another long strand. This is where I originally got History Breed Trading Company. I don't think they're even open anymore. But that's the original price back then, probably when there's that 90s, early 2000s. Anyway, so if you're interested in that, send us an email at info@allegorygallery.com. So we got this space, and what she didn't mention was that her father-in-law was a little bit of a hoarder. She said, "Oh, there's some stuff in." And me being me, I was like, "Oh, I'll help you clear out the space and stuff. The rent's so good." I think the rent was like $200 or something like that. And um, and so when I got there and she opened the door, it was stacked from the floor to the ceiling, full of stuff. Like you could barely see light come over. And I thought, oh no, what did I get myself into? So what I thought was like load up like a desk or two was a whole probably a couple days of pretty solid work. And when I don't know if any of you remember this because this was early days of our store, but we found there was a tanning salon in there at one point, and they had whoever had done the work was like a handyman, so they were not done to code, and so they were currently in a problem where the town or the county was going after them for code violations. And so they had been fixing up the space, the whole building, and at one point they just stopped working because I guess the county like froze their assets. So there was no carpet in the hallways, but there's like exposed carpet tacks, and it was like I don't know, it's super dusty because they were in the middle of doing the drywall but never finished it. And then we were in that room. We painted everything and got everything nice, and we found 4 different layers of carpet, and we stripped away all of the tiger striped shag carpet, and it was like it was from the 70s, y'all. In the walls there was like smoke stains from when it had been an office, and I guess they just smoked in there, and it was a big project. And so this is NDVG 34, and so it was a big project to fix it up. And there was a yoga studio that was next to us, and I had never been there while they were doing classes at the same time. And I was sitting down, and all of a sudden I heard our neighbor. She said, "Lift your pelvis, lift your pelvis." So this is some vintage Czech glass. There's 2 strands of these available. They're $5 each. And these are these long strands. And they look almost like garnets. Or they look, but they're not. So this is 1 strand. And these are about 5 millimeter. And they're kind of like organic-y rounds. And we have 2 strands of those. And so they did check out how far your new shop is about the same as Ligonier. I can do that. Oh, good. Yeah, you'll have to come down. We're only open for like another 4 days in the current space. But anyway, so we oh, Lynn was in today. William told me that Lynn Superrock was in today. So she's like, lift your pelvis, lift your pelvis. And I was like, oh no. So we worked on soundproofing the walls. And so we added an extra layer of drywall and insulation. And then we use this stuff called green goo. And what it does is it absorbs sound and it turns it into heat, but not like a lot of heat. And we put that in the walls. So it was like a sandwich of that sheetrock and more sheetrock and that green goo in between, like a sandwich. And that was put on the walls. And then we had to paint and patch all of that after we just finished painting. And so there was a lot of work. Anne probably remembers that place. This is NDVG 36, $5. It's this beautiful green. There are those little faceted kind of double bicones, elongated style. And so we were in that space maybe a year. And the reason why it didn't last very long is, for one, it got real confusing because we'd be like, oh, but we have classes and stuff down the street. And people were like, what? Why don't you just have it here? And then when we realized we would have classes, but we would have them in that space, but people usually they would like shop after they took the classes. And when we had classes in that new space, there wasn't stuff for them to like shop. So we weren't getting that extra residual kind of like money from people shopping. And then there was a salon downstairs, and like they must have been something was wrong with them because like we would like battle over the bathroom. Like, so I bought this huge thing of like toilet paper, and they kept stealing the toilet paper. And I was like, who is stealing the toilet paper? Because I went into the bathroom, and we were there like once a week at most. And then the toilet paper would all be gone. And I was like, I bought like the jumbo king size roll. And by roll, I mean a big, huge pack of them. And then they like changed the locks on the bathroom. And so, like, I had to get the landlord to change the locks, and then they complained, and it was just like just this big thing where there, we nobody could use the bathroom. I think it's like a curse about the bathroom situation, but anyway, so that was one strike. Now the second strike was that they they all of the other tenants had blocked all of their HVAC, and so at some point in the summertime, it would blow hot air the into the building or into our space. So we had this one class, and I stopped in, and one of the ladies, I could see her eyes roll back in her head. It was so hot. And like, we had gotten this air conditioner, like one of those ones that you get for the room. So this is NDVG. That's a G, not a 6. 37. $7 for this opalescent kind of purpley color. It's a beautiful color. I love opalescent glass. Um, Anyway, um, so it was, I would come in, I came in the morning, and it was during summer, and it was a window unit, but it was be like the kind that there's like it's like a giant, it looks almost like a refrigerator, like a mini fridge. It's pretty big. And then you put that into the, in the window, and it blows hot air or cold air at you, and it pumps out the hot air. So I started that in the morning, and in theory those work really well. Those usually work super well. I mean, we use those in our house, and it keeps our house in the summertime like almost too cold. We have to turn them off. um But in that space, it did nothing. And the temperature inside of the room was 98. And it was having after the air conditioner go full blast all morning and probably part of that night too. Um, and when I came into the class, they to check on everybody and make sure everybody's okay, they were drenched in sweat, and it was 98 degrees. And I saw one lady's eyes roll back in her head, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get a lawsuit." Um, and they I talked to the landlord, and they couldn't fix it because they weren't gonna because none of the other tenants would open up their vents, and so it was pushing hot air. And one of the students got the bright idea to take the exhaust out of the air conditioner, and they were basically blowing hot air on themselves because it felt cooler than than not having any kind of air situation. So it was just a mess. And we eventually found a spot that was bigger, and um we could fit the office and stuff and classroom space and all to the same building. So we moved. The next move that we did, I called it the move to the beige store. um and we were in a building. That building's for sale right now if anybody is curious. It's over 400,000 if anybody wants. Um, so this is lot NDVG 38, $10, and it's kind of like a squished tube, and it's got these little baguette marks, and it's this beautiful translucent blue green with AB on one side. Really pretty. So we were in the first location probably 2 years. Anne says it was hot. I remember first time I met you. Yeah, and I think you were in one of the cooler classes, and the one class that was too hot. Like, it was like stuff was melting. Um And I had my studio in there, which was just this little room. And I had the bright idea to paint it like this color. And what I realized is that you probably should not paint all four walls of a small space this color. Because, like a little bit is nice, but when you're like surrounded by it, it messes with your eyes. And so I would work in my studio in there and I would get terrible, terrible headaches. And I was always like finding excuses so I didn't have to work in the studio. And so I eventually we left that space. We called it the annex, and we had that for a little over a year. And I'm grateful that they gave us opportunity, and we did, make some money, but we did lose a lot of money because we spent a lot of money to fix it up. Um, and that was kind of disappointing because we put all that hard work into fixing up the space, and we basically got to use it not that many times. Um, but sometimes you make a decision and you think it's the right decision. And at that time, we couldn't have classes at all because the space in the first store was too tight and people would like knock into stuff. And so we had to find a space for classes and events. So we did what we had to do. Anyway, so this is lot NDVG 38, $10. So we moved to the beige store, and the beige store, we were in there for, I think, 4 years, 6 years, maybe 6 years. Because we've been in business for 12 years, and we were in the first location for 2 years. And we've been in this location since 2018. So whatever that breaks down. Anyway, so this is lot NDVG 39, $10. This is another long strand. It's beautiful, kind of orange table cut and frosted matte on the sides. It's a big strand of it. But yeah, so we were in that beige store for a while. And when we moved there, it kind of was so nice because we had our neighbor was on the first floor also, Melissa, who had a stationery shop, and she was super, super nice and super, super kind. Um, but we had more of a definition of space, like it was our own shop. The first space, it was kind of a problem because you had to walk through our store to get to her bookstore part. And so, like, by the end, she had gotten in with somebody else and they were doing all kinds of kind of, different things. And they were like putting signs in our store and taking our stuff down. And they like redid the windows but didn't ask. And so they did it on their own and they just threw all of our stuff in a pile and there was a bunch of broken stuff and it was just a lot of stuff like that. And I'm kind of curtailing it and making it not as horrific as it was because this is live streamed and there's a record of it and I don't want people coming after me and reignite that fire. But anyways, the person that they got in with had some problems and when we left it was such a relief because when you can't control your own space, it's one of the hardest things, I think. Like when you're in a place and you have no control over different things and people can be say and do whatever they want and you can't stop them, then that kind of messes with you. So when we moved to the beige store, it was such a relief. And like I remember like basically crying when we moved because I was so happy. And it was just a really appreciate the opportunity to start this store there. and we have good memories. But there, sometimes that's not the most ideal situation. And I think that's part of being young. Like, we didn't really know what that would kind of turn into. And so this is NDVG40, $12. You have these beautiful kind of super AB finish, very light, purpley, lavender color, lilac color. Um, those little cones. They're like a gumdrop though, where they're solid in the base. Um, and so like we learned a lot from having our store. When we first opened, we wanted to hide stuff and make it kind of like a treasure hunt. And so and for one, we couldn't afford any furniture because the way we started the store is we cashed in William's Apple stock. He used to work for Apple when we lived in New York. And so he had about $10,000 worth of stock. And that's what we used to open the store. And so we couldn't afford furniture. So we borrowed a bunch of his like relatives' antiques. And there was like a dresser from his great grandmother or something. And so we had it so that people could like go in and they would like have to open drawers and look underneath things and open these boxes. And we had this jewelry case that like you had to like open it up and stuff to see the stuff inside. And what we realized is that people don't do that. So we quickly had to change. And at one point, I was like hanging stuff from the ceiling, and it was too much stuff. And so people, when they would walk into the store, they would get almost overwhelmed. And there's a thing called horror vacui, and it's like afraid of blank spaces, which means that they like decorate every single square inch of a space with dense patterning. And so the first store we had, I did that for a little while, and I realized that it would bother people. People would see it and they would get like super stressed out. So this is NDVG41. They're these little purple lavendery hearts with the AB finish, matte finish. A strand of that, $7. Send us an email at info@allegorygallery.com. And so, yeah. So I realized that you had to take breaks, give people visual breaks, and where hot spots were in the store, and how to move people around the store by designing a space. There are certain things that will attract view, like the eye, and then there are things that will push the eye away. So they don't really teach that, at least not where I went to school. They didn't talk. I went to school for painting. I didn't go to school for maybe interior design for retail commercial spaces. They teach that, but I didn't do that. All right, so this is some cobalt daggers. This is NDVG42. And yeah, so we've learned a lot along the way. It's been really good, I think. So as we start thinking about moving this store, we start thinking about all of our history over the years. And that's been nice to be, to think about. And I think we've grown a lot. When we opened the store, it was very different. We did not have like a real website. We had a big cartel store that we used in the beginning time. This is NDVG43. we were renting an apartment from his aunt on 90 acres, and we were all off on our own. Um, and so William had his other job, and that like paid our bills and stuff. And the store, it grew every year. And for a while, it grew 20% every year. I mean, you know, and we got that. I had a plan that I would be out of the store in 5 years, and I ended up doing it in 4 years because I was there every day for a long time, and I was doing the online store, and I was doing still working freelance for books and magazines, writing and publishing designs, and I still was making jewelry and components and different things like that. And like there were days that were super hard. I remember at one point I ended up pulling off on the side of the road and just breaking down because I was so kind of burnt out from the workload. And there's little things like retail is not for the faint of heart, and I didn't realize it then. Like when you go to a show, for the most part, everybody's like super happy and super energized to be there and super excited. And then when you deal with retail, it can sometimes be hard. So these are really lovely. These are some more of those little mini daggers. They're a pale, transparent pink with a super duper coating of AB finish with a matte kind of finish. This is NDVG 44, $6 for that strand. That's a beautiful strand. Um, so yeah, so that was hard. But when William came over, he would help on the weekends, and sometimes um he would stay home. And so I worked mostly every day, and that was real hard. Um I mean, I work every day now, but like at first, I thought I would get stuff done at the shop. Like I'd have a little studio space there, and then I would get work done. I got no work done. I moved all these books over there, thinking that I would look at them in my downtime. They don't have no downtime. There's always something. Like if I in the early days we didn't really have, and there wasn't like Facebook. Like I had Facebook because I got it when it first came out. Um, because I was in college at the time, and so I got like the trial run of what Facebook was. It was basically just for like colleges. It wasn't for like anybody. You had to be like in school when it first started. So like at the time, um Blogspot, where my blog was, or Blogger was like the big platform, and there's WordPress and stuff, and um that's kind of how I got to be known. So this is NDVG 45, and it's just a beautiful teal color daggers, just $5. So yeah, so um, it's nice to kind of walk down memory lane, thinking about all these things as we go forward with our new kind of adventures. This is NDVG 46, $8. I'm excited about the new space. The new space, it's kind of like a fresh start for us in a way. With everything going on, with William's health and with my dad dying, it kind of put things in perspective in the sense that, we were working to build this kind of like empire. And at one point, I was like, who are we building this for? Like, we don't have kids. I don't know if our nieces and nephews would be interested in this. So it's like, who are we doing this? Why are we like breaking our backs to keep this going the way it is without doing any kind of change? And so we knew that something had to change at some point, but we didn't really know what that would be. And about last year, a little over a year ago or so, we were in this program called Acre, and it was based out of Johnstown. And our cottage is on the borderline between Johnstown and Ligonier. And really, I just wanted grant money to pay for a toilet. I just wanted to have a place to go to the bathroom without any having frantic times. And so I heard about this program and I wrote to them and I said, hey, we're super close, but we're like a couple miles short of where we need to be. And they said, oh, that's fine. But we're going to frame it as like you're interested in opening a store in Johnstown. Um, and and then that way it kind of falls within the geographic region. And we were kind of looking at that too because we knew we had to have something had to change. We knew we had to either do something where we got like um you know a second income stream to keep things going. And so this is NDVG 46, $8 for the strand. And so we knew we had to do something. Um, so we got in this program and we were supposed to do something at this place called Creator Square. And I was like, all right, I'm ready. What are we going to do? Talk some numbers. What's going to happen? And then that ended up folding. And so I started looking and I found this space because again, there were people who said, "Oh, you can't do it." No, they kept everything. I went to this one meeting, um, and this is NDVG 47, and with one of the consultants, and every idea I had, they said, "Nope, nope, 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 nope," and I was like, "I am sick and tired of you telling me no." Everything, no this, no this, no this. And it's like, all right, so I'm just gonna go on my own and figure things out. And so what we did is we found a space and it looked awesome. Um, and we checked it out. We actually knew the owners before this owner. We found out. Um, and I'm kind of abbreviating this story. So at that time, actually for a couple of years, we've been looking to buy a building here in Ligonier. But the buildings here in Ligonier don't really come up very often. Um, one of the spaces on the diamond had been off the market for 110 years. So, like, I'm not Methuselah. I can't wait until the next owner gets it in another 110 years. And when it did go for sale, it was over 500,000. So, we just don't have that kind of money. And so, we found a space, what we thought we found a space, and it was expensive, but we could have, like if we moved around enough stuff, we probably could have done it. And they had been on the market for 6 years. It had been on the market for 6 years. So we were kind of like, we were not in a rush because we were like, well, it's been on the market this long, what's a couple more months left, for us to get everything ready. And then when we started thinking about it, then somebody else swooped in and got it. Um, so this is NDVG 47, $5 for the strand. It's this really beautiful kind of peacocky colors, and it's matte on kind of like a taupey gray. It's really pretty. It's got a nice kind of iridescence to it. Anyway, so there's that. And I was really disappointed when that fell through because I could definitely see ourselves being like, I really wanted to be in Ligonier. And I was like, we started here, we put down roots here. I don't ever want to leave. I always want to be here no matter what. And I think that was one of the first things that had to like go. Was this idea that we had to do it only in Ligonier, and that I mean we love Ligonier, we love living here, but we didn't have to like make that. Our business had changed. It had changed. So there's multiple lots of these. These are like a beautiful deep purple. They're irregular, so you have some long ones. These are check. Technically, these are seed beads, but I would not probably use them as seed beads. Um, so there are these deep kind of reddish purple. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 lots available. Um, so if you want more than one, let us know. And so, yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where, one of those things that we had to kind of let go of in some regards. All right, if you made it this far, we've only got 2 more lots to go, and they're good ones. And I've not seen this shape before, so you see leaves all the time, but I have not seen these kind. So this is lot NDVG49, $12, and you get these. These are check glass. They're done from a mold. So they're pressed in there. They're transparent, but then they've got this super AB coating on them. And this is how they look in comparison. So aren't those pretty? I mean, those would make killer earrings all day, every day. And you could, you just need 2 and put them on a head pin and call it neat. But anyways, so there's a lot of things that I thought, I knew forever, like that we would be in business in Ligonier forever. But you know what? The world is big. So, you know, um, and some people said that we're moving because we're having financial problems. And that's kind of true, kind of not. Um, The physical store covers itself. This is NDVG50, and this is the last one of the night. Um, and it's more of those leaves. They're a little bit bigger than the last one. See, they're probably double the size. And they've got this beautiful transparent and like a purple. So people are like, oh, well, you can't afford the rent anymore. And that's not exactly true. The thing is the store covers itself. And we work really hard on that. We were open 7 days a week. And we did have like helpers and stuff. But the issue is that like anything above that was not really doing. Everything other than that was all online. And so it just didn't make sense to like work so hard to have the physical store open and then not really make a return on that. I mean, it would just cover itself. And we probably would have kept going and not changed. We probably would have probably just kept going and let things go the way they were going. William, he does not like a lot of change. He likes things to be kind of like the same Z, and he does not like to rock the boat. Um, you know, it's like it's our personality difference. Like, for instance, if he drops a shoe and or no, this is a better example. If he puts down a box, instead of moving the box, he will go around the box. So it's one of those things where it's just like he just doesn't like, he likes things to be like the same. And that's just like his personality. He doesn't like to have any major disruptions. I'm kind of like, okay, if it's not working, then we fix it and we change it. And then if it's have problems some more, then we just change that some more until we get it right. Um, but and so I think we balance each other out pretty well. But lately, I've been kind of, I've not been trying to pressure him too much to do anything because he had his health scare with his heart. And, I didn't want to add to that stress and that pressure and, have him have a stroke or have some kind of blood clot or whatever. So I didn't push it. And I'm getting to the point now in our business and in our relationship where there's this thing going around. It's like let them. I don't know if you all heard them, but there's this thing called let them. And what that means is like if somebody says something bad to you about you, let them. If somebody doesn't want to like do something that they're supposed to do, let them. It's one of those things where it's kind of like giving yourself permission not to be upset by stuff that you can't change. Because I used to get really like upset about stuff, and like I would try to like change things, and like if I didn't like something I would like work on it. And now I'm getting to the point where like I prioritize my own mental well-being over this like constant struggle to people please or do stuff to make other people happy. And I try to be nice and be kind and whatever, but at the same time, I don't want to like do myself a disservice and hurt myself more by like, kowtowing to this imaginary hierarchy of what I'm supposed to do and not supposed to do. So long story short, I haven't been pushing a lot, and eventually the universe was like, "Yo, you need to like make a decision about this. Y'all are slowly eroding away yourselves if you don't do something." So when William's job burned down, and then my dad died. That was kind of like the push that we needed to make in order to decide to move the store. And, it's something that's been on the table. We had wanted to have a different store in the Johnstown location, but, starting a store from scratch is kind of hard. But we eventually just decided, why fight so hard for something that's not necessarily a good return on investment. So, anyways, we ended up deciding to move, and we have about 4 more business days that we're going to be open in the Ligonier location. And we're super excited to start our new chapter in Johnstown. We're going to be sad to see it go, but at the same time, we're looking forward to all the many things. Um, I would turn the camera around, but I've been having lights on me this whole time, and I feel like I'm like a melted candle. So I'm not going to flip this around. But I did want to say thank you so much to everybody. Um, I really appreciate it. We could not do any of this without all of you. You really do. I hope you all know this. You really do keep us going. Um, there are times that we've had extremely difficult times. And, I don't know if you all know just how hard the past year has been. Like, I've been kind of open and honest about like some of the stuff we've gone through, but in a lot of ways I haven't said a lot of things, and because it's more private. But there are a lot of things that we've been struggling through for the past year that were really deeply, really very difficult. And I feel like our communities, our hashtag AGBead fam, you know was one of the definite good things that helped keep us going, not just financially and not just like, to keep going that way, but to keep going emotionally and mentally strong and spiritually strong. It's one of those things where we feel really blessed to have. Um, a support network that believes in us and wants us to do well and encourages us and keeps pushing us to go further and further. And not everybody has that. So we feel very, very lucky to have all of you in our lives. And so, yeah, thank you so much for everything that you do for us. It really, really does mean so much to William and I. And as we navigate this future that we're kind of setting out on, where it's very uncertain, we don't know if the Johnstown location is going to be a success or not. We can hope that it will be. We can work as hard as we can, but we don't know. But having you by our sides on this journey has empowered us to keep going. So thank you for that. All right. We've had a long evening together, over 2.5 hours of this kind of late night edition of our Allegory Gallery Live. Um, and thanks for those of you who've stuck with us. We've had pretty much, we're leaving off at about 16 people watching. So I hope you all have a good evening. And thanks again. See ya.